and we're still in the book Let Me Be a Free Man, a documentary history of Indian resistance. And it says here, King Philip, all our ancient customs are disregarded. Elsewhere along the Atlantic coast, the story was much the same. The Pequot Indians were among the strongest of the New England tribes, having won extensive territory by conquering their weaker brothers. The existence of the Pequots was a roadblock preventing the colonists from acquiring the territory they craved. What is more, the proud and independent Pequots were scornful of British authority. So in a surprise night attack, an army of Puritan soldiers massacred a large Pequot camp. Massacred. The colonists murdered hundreds of men, women, and children, and turned the Indian village into a flaming torch. Alright, who did that? Puritans. In 1615, an English slave trader named Captain Hunt made an expedition to the territory of the Wampanoag Indians on the Massachusetts coast. Hunt's plan was to kidnap the Indians and sell them into slavery in the West Indies. Oh, yet again another account of American Indians being taken to the West Indies. And this whole time they were telling you it was Africans they were supplying these islands with. But it's just other American aboriginals they were bringing, alright, into these West Indian islands and the rest of their colonies. But some of Hunt's men were infected with smallpox, and the disease quickly spread to the Indians. They brought their smallpox. Alright, that's Deuteronomy 28. Wiping out 2/3 of the Wampanoag tribe. 5 years later, the Pilgrims, Englishmen, seeking an end to persecution for their religious beliefs, arrived at Plymouth, Massachusetts, finding the Wampanoag lands almost deserted. By 1615, you see that? They were there before. They don't tell you that they went over there and made room before the Pilgrims arrived. They made room. They decimated, they spread disease, they kidnapped and enslaved a lot of the Wampanoag, so their lands was almost deserted by the time the Pilgrims got there. They took over the fertile fields and gave thanks to the Lord for the epidemic. You hear this? That had taken the lives of the Indians. They gave thanks to their Lord because they knew this was biblical. They knew it was the plagues, it was the curses. They knew they were amongst Israelites because they wrote it. They knew what is a pilgrim, what does pilgrimage mean. And we're in Britannica.com. Encyclopedia says pilgrimage and religion, right? It says pilgrimage is a journey undertaken for a religious motive. Although some pilgrims have wandered continuously with no fixed destination, pilgrims more commonly seek a specific place that has been sanctified by association with a divinity or other holy personage. The institution of pilgrimage is evident in all world religions and was also important in the pagan religions of ancient Greece and Rome. A pilgrimage is to a holy place, or whatever that person considers to be a holy place. Alright, so these pilgrims, right, they came in seeking an end to persecution for their religious beliefs, and they made a pilgrimage into America, and they landed in Massachusetts. And who they land and find? The Wampanoag. Alright, we're just talking about ancient Israelites, really, the real, you know. So they gave thanks, right, again, to their Lord for the epidemic, the diseases that came upon the Wampanoag people that had taken the lives of the Indians. They gave thanks. They knew it was a plague. They read Deuteronomy 28 and they knew who they were encountering. Later, the Pilgrims dedicated their colony to the glory of God and the advancement of the Christian faith. Christian. What's that got to do What does that have to do, right, with the Wampanoag? The Indian chief Massasoit led the small surviving band of Wampanoag tribesmen that greeted the Pilgrims when they arrived at Plymouth Rock. At the first Thanksgiving Day feast, Massasoit pledged his aid and goodwill to the white men and taught them many secrets of survival in the wilderness. But he soon came to regret his hospitality. The colonists seized Wampanoag lands and jailed Indians found trespassing on their own fields. You see how they got them? So these holy pilgrims, right? See what they were doing? They were so glad you were getting all these epidemics and diseases, and they were so glad to, so quick to jail you. Who's in jail today? Nothing's changed, right? For trespassing on their own fields, that still happens. You get arrested in your own land. In your own land. All Indians were required to pay a tax to the colonial government. Then you had to pay a tax. In addition, their ancient spiritual beliefs were cast aside as the Puritan fathers forced the Indians to accept the Christian God and submit to strict church discipline. Alright? Forced you to accept the Christian God. Alright? They forced you to accept the Christian God. You keep saying Jesus, the Christian God, Krishna, Serapis, Mitre, Jupiter. That's who you're talking about when you're mentioning that vibration. It's not the same as Jehoshua or Yahawashi. Alright? It's a different whole vibration. Quetzalcoatl. It's a whole different vibration. Massasoit's son Metacomet, who was called King Philip by the English, came to power shortly after his father's death in 1662. He resented the whites' betrayal of his father's trust in them, as well as their high-handed attempts to subjugate his people. And he was infuriated by the colonists' attempts to exterminate tribes that refused to submit to their rule. Recognizing the threat to the survival of the Indian nation, King Philip issued the following warning to Indians. Brothers, you see this vast country before us, which the Great Spirit gave to our fathers and us. You see the buffalo and deer that now are our support. Alright, you see all that you had? The Great Spirit gave you that. Brothers, you see these little ones, our wives and children, who are looking to us for food and raiment, clothing. And you now see the foe before you, that they have grown insolent and bold, that all our ancient customs are disregarded, that treaties made by our fathers and us are broken, and all of us insulted, our council fires disregarded, our brothers murdered before our eyes. And I ask you, so-called Negro, what has changed? Our brothers murdered before our eyes. And their spirits cry to us for revenge. Brothers, these people from the unknown world will cut down our groves and drive us and our children from the graves of our fathers and our council fires, and enslave our women and children, enslave. Winning the support of many New England tribes, King Philip moved ahead with his carefully formulated plans to push the white invaders into the sea. During the first few months of King Philip's War, which began in 1675, the Indians crippled many white settlements, but colonial troops at last defeated King Philip in August of 1676, cutting off his head and impaling it on a pike to inspire fear in other would-be rebels. You see what they did? And by your ancestors here. In the years that followed, the colonists continued their efforts to civilize, in parentheses, the natives at gunpoint. So they civilized you at gunpoint. So it happened that many Indian tribes were erased from the face of the earth.